如果没结婚，我绝对不会活成现在这样。
If I hadn't gotten married, I would never be like this. At 35, I just ended an 8-year relationship and a 5-year marriage. Before marriage, I had an annual salary of 1 million yuan, a house, and a car. After marriage, I was heavily in debt, had to sell my house and car, and felt I let my sisters down. My experience proves what it means to waste a good hand of cards. I gave him everything, but in the end, I had nothing. He kept saying he would take responsibility, but his actions were disappointing. I didn't need him to be rich, but I hoped he could at least have the same earning ability as I did. Choosing is more important than changing. He quit smoking for me, stopped eating spicy food, and didn't use air conditioning, but these precious changes blinded me to the real issues. Incompatible values, a bad temper, and an unchangeable original family. These are the fatal, unchangeable things. Reading this, you might scold me. I think I deserve it too. I gave up taking the graduate entrance exam, started a business in Shenzhen at 23, and despite being financially and personally independent, it took me 10 years to get a divorce. The final straw was his infidelity. Laughing and crying, I asked him, "What else can you do to hurt me?" He said he loved me and couldn't lose me. I even started convincing myself to forgive him and just muddle through. But if I had that thought 10 years ago, I would have slapped myself. After all, 8 years of relationship and at 35 years old, I had invested too much. After a year of separation and negotiation, I finally reconciled with myself, with no resentment or hatred. I knew hating him was less worthwhile than hating myself. Marriage is for happiness, and so is divorce. If it's unhappy, why force it? I once thought I found someone who could shelter me from the wind and rain, but it turned out he brought the storm. Leaving him, I believe there will be a rainbow after the storm.
我离婚了。
I got divorced. On August 24th, 2023, I ended a 4-year marriage, which started with lies and ended with lies. I got married for happiness, and I divorced for the same reason. Saying this now shows that I can face it calmly. I wasn't that sad about ending this marriage. When someone deceives you about even their workplace from the beginning, and much of everything is a lie, it shows their poor character. But at that time, I thought he was really good to me and chose to believe him. After these 4 years, I always felt that fate was playing a big joke on me. However, it also gave me the right to choose happiness again. When someone has no feelings for you, they can't even be considered a person. If you are going through a similar situation, divorce is not as easy as you imagine, but it's not that hard either. As long as you excel, be yourself, and love yourself, you can learn to grow. Starting in 2024, I will love myself well. Keep going.
哎，爸爸，
哎，
那个我有个事情跟你说。
说吧。
我今天领证了。
啊？
我今天领证了，我离婚了。
哎，这么大个声音。说。现在还有啥事儿？
没事了。没法聊，就怕给你添堵，又解决不了。
你没法聊，我都能钻出来，别看那么远。你像那阵你在那个地方买房，那个地方，那个时候我就挺幸福。自从有了个这玩火，这好像就没有完了生活。这些事儿都会过去，你对自己有信心，对生活充满着阳光，这些咱都能理解，对不对？本人又不是很差。就是形象也好，气质也佳，也很优雅。
3个月闪婚，3年婚姻，有一个女儿，然后我离婚了。
A 3-month flash marriage, a 3-year marriage, and a daughter later, I got divorced. I grew up in a divorced family, so I understand how much parents' decisions can affect their children. Therefore, after having a daughter, I thought long and hard about the issue of divorce. However, when I mentally broke down, experienced ambulance rides and several hospitalizations, when I had insomnia every night, nightmares every night, and often woke up crying, I spent that period drinking all night, ultimately driving my friends to the brink of collapse. One day, I woke up. I realized that I must first be myself and love myself before I can give better love to my daughter and my family. Although my ex-husband did many wrong things, I don't hate him. He will always carry the passionate memories of my youth, and I loved him without regret. At the moment I made up my mind, I resolutely took my daughter and moved out. I knew the pressure of being a single mother would be great, but I also knew that only I could save myself and escape this pathological relationship. When I left our old home, seeing the messy packing boxes, my ex-husband repeatedly trying to keep me, and my daughter looking for her father, I felt I couldn't hold on countless times. But seeing my mother silently accompanying me, I knew how much she felt for me, so I had to be strong. I was in a slump for a long time, crying when I opened my eyes in the morning, after meals, and before bed. Seeing videos of happy families of 3 made me cry to the point of suffocation, and I wondered if I should just endure it a bit longer. I know many sisters are like me, gritting their teeth to avoid looking back. After calming down, I became more certain that he and I could only be family, not a couple. This marriage made me extremely insecure. My mother and friends scolded me, saying I was already very excellent. At that time, I could only cry and say, if I were a bit prettier, would I be loved a bit more? Because of this marriage, I repeatedly lowered my standards, but only we know that every time we force ourselves to accept something, the inner torment doesn't just pass, it's the kind of feeling that can make you break down and cry even while drying your hair. Online motivational quotes tell everyone to courageously end a relationship, to courageously divorce, and to courageously be a single mother. In reality, only we know how hard it is. So I want to tell everyone, allow yourself to be a mess, allow yourself to have moments of utter sadness. There will always be a period when every sad song feels like it's about you. When you reach the point where listening to songs doesn't stir any emotions, start to moderately enrich your life. Now, in my life that used to be only work and children, I have included my own things, working out well, eating well, taking care of my skin, taking beautiful photos, going out when I'm unhappy, and going crazy with friends when I'm down. When you live well, you will find that time passes extraordinarily fast every day. Although life is plain, and there may not be many happy things, there is no longer the past torment. Every woman hopes to be well loved, to become more confident, beautiful, and sensitive in love. If such healthy love cannot be given to you by others, please summon the courage to give it to yourself. I am still working hard. Let's work hard together.
尊敬的前妻你好，我们已经离婚9年。
Dear ex-wife, hello. We have been divorced for 9 years. During this time, you have not come home to visit the child, but the child has never mentioned you in front of me. In your mind, perhaps the child is still a few years old, but in the child's mind, you may no longer have a face. The child is now 15 years old, about to graduate from middle school, very tall, and very well behaved. He is now a tall boy of 5 feet 9 inches. As the saying goes, only a mother is good in this world, but from my perspective, it is not necessarily true. In these years since our divorce, I have never spoken ill of you in front of the child. I remember when he was 12 years old, I formally told him that Daddy and Mommy had separated and divorced, meaning we no longer live together. Your mother has the right to choose her own way of life. Well, Daddy doesn't blame her. It was because Daddy couldn't give your mother the life she wanted, so she chose to leave. You also shouldn't blame your mother. It's Daddy's own lack of ability.
我是阿林，一个92年的单身爸爸。
I am Alin, a single father born in 1992. After the divorce, I went through the most difficult period, and I feel that I have matured a lot. Looking back at the reasons for the divorce, it should be because of the saying, when poverty knocks, love goes out the window. Ultimately, it boils down to the word poor. As the pillar of the family, I couldn't provide a sense of security for my family. In the past, I was young and felt embarrassed to do dirty or tiring jobs. I couldn't let go of my pride and wanted to do respectable work but couldn't make money. After the divorce, I realized that if I didn't start earning money, I might not even be able to support my son. So, I began planning my life. The first step was to save some money and have some savings so that I would have the capital to make changes. For the current me, I have thrown away all thoughts of face and dignity. As long as I can make money, I will do any kind of work. During the pandemic, when there were no good jobs, I drove a van to deliver goods. Although it was tiring, the earnings were decent. By the beginning of this year, I had some savings. At this point, I felt that I should either start a business or find a stable job suitable for long-term development. If I still couldn't make money, I might have no hope in the aspect of relationships. So, I started a container barbecue business. Fortunately, the income from this container was better than I expected. This success gave me great hope, and I felt there was still a future ahead of me. As long as there is light in your heart, you are not afraid of the desolation of life.
The divorce rate in China is now very high. The top reason isn't infidelity or domestic violence, but rather the trivial matters of daily life. Firstly, many couples now live under the same roof, but in different rooms. They may sleep in the same room, but in different beds, and even if in the same bed, they turn their backs on each other, not communicating or interacting. They don't call each other, don't send messages, and basically have no contact. They are married in form, but live a single life. Whenever they do communicate, they end up arguing, finding being alone more liberating. How can such couples have a good relationship? Secondly, people's views on marriage have changed. In the past, people were more accepting of their marriages and didn't easily think of divorce. Even if the relationship deteriorated, they would think of getting by, and things would gradually improve. But now, when people encounter problems, the first thing they think of is replacing their partner. Does this really solve the problem? I often hear a phrase recently, if you can't swim, will changing the pool help? In the past, life moved at a slower pace, relationships developed over a long time, and feelings were deep. Now, the pace is fast, and even if you can meet across great distances, marriage problems are more frequent. Sometimes you want to say a lot, but the other person doesn't have the patience to listen. You need emotional support, but the other person is perfunctory, lacking a solid reliance. The contribution within the family is also severely imbalanced. The two people are not working together but are in opposition everywhere. You like to magnify the other's shortcomings, ignore their strengths, no longer move forward hand in hand, but fight your own battles. In marriage, there's always comparison with others, always feeling that others' partners are better or wealthier than your own. Can a marriage last with endless demands and mutual exploitation? When there's a conflict, you should mediate, when there's a problem, you should solve it. Can divorce really solve the problem? Therefore, when you choose to divorce, you should be mentally prepared to take responsibility like an adult, not expect everyone to understand you like a child. Love is beautiful, it keeps people hopeful. But married life is composed of trivial matters. Every day, countless trivial things will bother you. So we need the ability to solve problems to protect the happiness of our families. The best way for yourself is not to change the pool, but to learn to swim.